everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. You could tell I'm really excited, like the sun is just like shining on my face and I'm just like glowing, you know. Anyways, today I'm going to be talking about clinicals. For those who don't know, nursing school is divided into three components. So we have the lab, we have the theory portion, and we have the clinicals. So clinicals is typically what students do when they go into the hospitals to actually give real care to real patients. So it's not just like the lab where you like give care to mannequins or practice on mannequins, or like in class where you are taught about different diseases and comorbidities. This time you get to like see it for what it is and know which care to actually give to different patients. So if you really want to learn more about this video, please stay tuned and we'll be right back. So some of you might be wondering, what do you really learn during clinicals? So during my first clinical, I actually learned about like different bedside nursing skills. So I learned how to perform like blood pressure checks. I learned how to administer medications. I learned how to look out for signs and symptoms of different diseases. I also learned how to perform bed baths. These are the basic things you do during your first clinicals. So they want to make sure you're grounded in giving medications, administering intravenous medications, learn the different routes of medications, and you're able to know how to chart and look at the medication administration record, which is the MAR. So these are the things I learned in my first year of nursing school during my clinicals. So if you're going into your clinical, I advise that you refresh your memory on how to do all these basic skills, because that's what your clinical instructor will be expecting from you. So another question I get asked often is, do you get paid for clinicals? The answer is no, a big fat no. Because if the answer was yes, I'll be very rich now with all the hours with all the hours I've spent during clinicals, throughout my first, second and third year. I would actually be very rich now. But yeah, the answer is actually no. But guess what? You can actually get so many opportunities as a nursing student. You can be a personal support worker or a unit care aide. Hospitals like hiring nursing students to do this, to actually fill these positions, because they feel that you have an experience and you can relate with the patients a lot more than people who are not in the nursing field. So these are opportunities that you can get as a nursing student. You can also build a relationship with the managers and nurses on the floor. Who knows what might happen tomorrow? If they see that you're a good nursing student or you're actually performing well in clinicals, they might decide to extend a job offer to you pending when you might be done with nursing school. In Thunder Bay here in Lakehead University, they do that. When you're in your fourth year of your program and you go into doing your last preceptorship, when they see that you're good, they actually can extend an employment offer to you pending when you're going to be done with school. But yeah, no, you don't get paid. You don't get paid at all. So another question most people have is, would you have your own patients? Yes and no. No, because at first when you start, you're going to be assigned to your clinical instructor. So that means that you're going to be working alongside with your clinical instructor to help these patients. But when you get to your final year, which is the preceptorship, you'll be given a small patient load. So the preceptor, which is your clinical instructor, will actually guide you to working with those patients. So you might have 4 to 5 patients who you'll be solely responsible for, because they want to see how you're going to do when you get into the real world setting. I mean, it's just 3 months or 4 months from graduating, so they need to know that you're stable enough to be able to take care of patients. So at first, no, but as time actually goes on in the program, you're going to be assigned your own patients. So many of you might want to know how clinicals are graded. Different schools actually have different ways they grade students, but now I'm going to be talking about my school. So there are 4 ways that actually students in my school get graded. So it's through attendance, through participation, true preparedness and true homework. So if you're familiar with care plans, you know that that's a huge, really huge assignment. So every student does like 1 to 4 care plans per clinical. So this is something you have to get used to and know how to do. Preparedness. They need to know that you are prepared to come into clinicals. They need to know you know your patient. So for my school, they do this thing where students actually come a day before to actually research their patients. So they can come, probably if you have clinicals Thursday, Friday, you have to come on Wednesday to be able to like find out about your patient's diagnosis, find out when they were admitted, find out the care you're going to be giving to them. You know, this just makes you prepare yourself, you know, read more about their disease condition, and you know, give better care to the patient, you know. So this is really important. Another thing is attendance. So if you're the type that likes coming late to clinicals, you're gonna know yourself, because you have to deal with the faculty. I mean, you might have some nurses that might not really care, but when the school gets to know, this is really huge. So I advise that you come early, make sure like you attend your clinicals, and if you can't really attend, you know, fulfill those hours, make sure you actually discuss with your clinical instructors so that you can find days whereby you can actually complete your hours. It's not just for them, but it's actually for you. Anytime you can get experience, make sure to salvage those hours. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is participation. Make sure you participate. Like, you only have, 3 years to learn about what you're going to do for a lifetime. So for every time you participate, you're doing yourself a huge favor, because you are learning those skills for yourself. You are practicing, and practice makes perfect. So I mean, you wouldn't go out the real world to be perfect, but at least you'll be close to perfect, because you've already like learned so much about those skills, and you'll be able to like practice them once you're done with clinicals. So yeah, just participate anytime you have any opportunity to help out the nurses on the floor, or to actually learn more or ask questions. Do that. That way you learn, and that way the nurses know that you're serious about like learning more about the profession. You work alone? No, you don't work alone. Most times you work with nurses, you work with like different nurses on the floor, and you actually rotate, you know, clinical settings. So some days you might work in long-term care homes, sometimes you might work in labor and delivery, sometimes you can work on a med-surg floor, sometimes you would be able to work in pediatrics. So it actually depends on what rotations you have. And like I always say, this is not just for my school, but all the schools out there. Different schools have different ways they actually rotate their students. So for my school, for each year you get entered into like a selector, like it's called HSP net, whereby you're randomly placed, like you pick 5 areas where you feel that you want to learn, or things you think you're going to be able to like do when you finish school, and like they just randomly place you in one of those 5 options, because they feel that, you know, it's what you chose and it's what you really want to do. So yeah, like there's so many options for you, and you surely get trained by some nurses on the floor. So what happens if you fail in clinical? It's not the end of the world. You know, it's good to have an open mind and actually talk to your instructors or your clinical preceptor to find out what happened, like why you failed, what they feel you need to improve on. It's important not to let that weigh you down, because some people might just feel, oh, it's the end of the world, they don't like me, you know, they don't want me to move forward. No, sometimes there might just be something you're not doing right, or some things you did, some requirements you didn't meet, and if you don't ask them or have an open mind, you might not be able to like learn from that and move on. They don't want you to fail. You got accepted into the program, so keep an open mind. Discuss with your instructors, discuss with your faculty members, let them know the aspects of the clinicals they want you to improve on. Take that positive feedback and actually go back and, you know, work on it, and, you know, give it the best shot you have the next time you can do those clinicals. But yeah, they're going to give you an opportunity to do those clinicals again, and if you're able to learn from the experience and learn from what they said you should improve on, this will give you a really great head start. So what do you wear during clinicals? So for my school, we wear the Lakehead nursing scrubs. So every school is different. Some schools might just, you know, want you to just get scrubs and like, you know, comfortable shoes. But for my school, we have to like wear white shoes. We have to like wear our nursing scrubs, and you have to have like a couple of pens and pockets in your scrub so that you could like put your pens and your notebooks where you can like jot down vital signs. It's also important to actually have compression stockings. I'm not even joking. Like, those compression stockings are really, really helpful. So I advise, if you can get them on Amazon or like in like a store close by to you, please do. Get comfortable shoes, get compression stockings, get notebooks, highlighters, pens. Make sure you have your stethoscope with you, because you're going to be checking different vital signs. And just make sure that your pens, your biros, your highlighters, everything is there. You should also have your badge that says your name and your designation. So for us at Lakehead University, we have a badge which is given to us by the school, and for the hospitals we work in, you actually have to have that badge to be able to get into the property. So you actually have to like press the badge on the entrance so that you can be let into the facility. So those are the requirements we actually need in Lakehead University. I don't know about other schools, but yeah, I'm gonna do a recap. So you have to have your scrubs, you have to have your shoe, your white shoes or any shoe that your school actually needs. You actually have to have your writing materials, your pens, your papers. You have to have your stethoscope. You have to have your pen light, which is for the eyes, or like any other thing that requires you to actually shine your light on. You actually have to have your badge, and yeah, that's basically it. So some of you might want to know, what specialties do you observe during your clinicals? So you work with geriatric patients, you work in labor and delivery, you work in pediatrics, you work in mental health, you work on med-surg floors. There are different options, actually, limitless. You can actually have community health placements, primary healthcare centers, nurse practitioner programs, there's several opportunities for nurses. And that's the more reason why I actually love this nursing profession, because it's diverse. You're not limited to just doing one thing. You can work as a home care nurse. So there are different clinical specialties you can observe during your clinicals. Finally, you might not really feel drawn to all these specialties, but it is important to actually make a good impression on every floor you're on. So not just because, if you say you don't want to be a labor and delivery nurse, you can't just go to labor and delivery department and just mess up. No, leave a good impression. You never know who's watching. You never know who's going to help you with your job in future, and you never know what you're going to learn in that floor that will help you towards like when you graduate, right? So it's always very important to actually communicate better with the nurses, know the managers, introduce yourself, and keep a positive attitude throughout, because it's really what you're going to be doing in the real world. Like, just make sure you are yourself, go above and beyond when you can, and when you can't, learn. That is what you're there to do, learn. And lastly, if you have any questions whatsoever to ask me about clinicals, I'm right here. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, and yeah, take care.